Page 30 and 31. Graphing rational functions. On this page, on page 30, we're going to look at 1 over x, where this x has a power that is odd. In this case, it's 1. So let's look at the parent function first. We have 1 over x. There's no transformations for the parent because this is the parent. Your h value, there's nothing being added down here to x, so it's just 0. So your vertical asymptote is at x equals 0 because you couldn't have x equals 0 for it to be defined. You can't divide by 0. K, there's nothing added there either, so it's also 0. I'll draw that in red. And so the horizontal asymptote is at y equals 0. It's this k value. Okay, the domain depends on that h value. So it is from negative infinity to 0, and we also have 0 to infinity. For the range, we also have from negative infinity to 0, union 0 to infinity. Okay, now from there we're going to graph it. So we know that we have our asymptotes. Let's go ahead and graph those first. And then from there, we'll have one line in quadrant 1 and one curve in quadrant 3. If you don't have a graphing calculator nearby, you could also plot some points on a T-chart to make sure that it's in those two quadrants and not in 2 and 4 instead. Let's look at another one. Let's look at number 3. So we have f of x equals negative 3 over x minus 1 minus 2. Your transformations, well, you have a negative here, so it reflects. And you'll have to specify if it reflects across x or y, since it wouldn't make a difference here. This 3 right here would be a vertical stretch. The 1 right here is going to go to the right, 1, and then the minus 2 is down 2. So, to get our h value, we'll write a 1. So your vertical asymptote is going to be x equals 1. Your k value is this minus 2 right here. So your horizontal asymptote is at y equals negative 2. Your domain will be from negative infinity to 1, union 1 to infinity. And then your range will be from negative infinity to negative 2, union negative 2 to infinity. Let's graph these. So first you want to graph the asymptotes. Let's graph the vertical asymptote at x equals 1. So right here. And then let's graph the horizontal asymptote at y equals negative 2. Now notice that there was a reflection. That's actually going to change where the curves are. So instead of it quadrants 1 and 3, it's now going to be in quadrants 2 and 4. And again, you can plot some points to make sure of that. You can also graph this on Desmos or your TI Inspire. Now let's look at our rational functions with even exponents. So our transformations is none. This is the parent function. Your h value is just 0 again, because there's nothing being added or subtracted to the x. So the vertical asymptote is at x equals 0. The k value, there's nothing there. So that's also 0. So your horizontal asymptote is at y equals 0. Your domain is going to be the same kind of thing as on the other parent function. Negative infinity to 0, union 0 to infinity. Now for the range, it's going to be different. It's only one interval, and that's 0 to infinity. Let's graph the asymptotes. So we have a horizontal asymptote at y equals 0. And then we have a vertical asymptote at x equals 0. Now, if you were to plot some points on a table, the graph's curves are now going to be in quadrants 1 and 2 instead of 1 and 3. And for the other one, it was quadrants, or for the other parent function, it was quadrants 1 and 3. For even exponents like this, they're either both going to be up here or they'll both be down here if it was reflected. Let's look at number 10. Or actually, let's look at one that has a reflection. Let's look at 12. So we have f of x equals negative 4 over x plus 2 squared minus 1. We have a negative, so it reflected. And you can say it's across x. There's a vertical stretch by 4. It went left 2 and down 1. So from here, the h value is negative 2. It's the opposite of what's on the inside. Vertical asymptote at x equals negative 2. The k value is a minus 1. So you have a horizontal asymptote at y equals negative 1. Your domain is going to be from negative infinity to negative 2, union negative 2 to infinity. Now the range, since it had reflection, it's going to be from negative infinity to k. So when there's no reflection, it's from k to infinity. When there is a reflection, it's from negative infinity to k. So for the range, if there is a reflect, it's from negative infinity to k. And if there's no reflect, it's from k to infinity. Let's draw our asymptotes. So let's do the vertical asymptote at x equals negative 2. We have that right there. And then let's draw our horizontal asymptote at y equals negative 1. Since it reflected, it's now going to be in quadrants 3 and 4. Complete the rest of these graphs and then move on to the next section.